Creationists believe that the human race was created by God, which means that God genetically engineered us. Most believers would agree that God is a being or an energy not of this planet or of this dimension. God must therefore be an alien. Many of the ancient texts talk of gods who came to earth from the heavens and created man in their own image. In the Bible's book of Genesis, the gods are described as giant beings called the Nephilim, or fallen ones. The Egyptians, Phoenicians, Chaldeans, Mayans, Aztecs, Aryans, Assyrians, and the inhabitants of ancient India and Tibet have all recorded the arrival of gods from the heavens in their ancient writings. Endless accounts from ancient cultures describe a serpent race. The Bible introduces the serpent in the Garden of Eden. Indian scriptures speak of a reptilian race, while East Asian writings mention a dragon race and a reptilian humanoid race. Middle Eastern religions describe reptilian-like demons, and African shamans speak of the Shittori, which is also a reptilian race. The best place to get answers about who these gods were is from the oldest known records written by the oldest known civilization, the Sumerians, whose culture dates back to 6000 BC. The Sumerians documented the arrival of gods from another world who brought with them advanced knowledge. They called these gods the Anunnaki, which means those who from heaven to earth came. In the 1800s, Sumerian clay tablets were found in present-day Iraq. The tablets clearly identify the name of the god who genetically engineered the human race. His name was Enki, and he's the same god that the Greeks called Poseidon. Enki was a serpent god, and his symbol was two entwined serpents. The entwined serpents are the double helix of human DNA. This same symbol is used by today's medical profession. Why on earth would the Sumerians and other ancient civilizations make up the same lies about our human origins? The real question that needs answering is why the corporate religions of the world have hidden the truth from us. Zecharia Sitchin is convinced that ancient astronauts lived among the Sumerians. "We look like them," says Sitchin. "They made us through genetic engineering. They jumped the gun on evolution and made us look like them physically and to be like them emotionally." Sitchin goes one step further. He suggests that these gods or ancient astronauts interbred with the human females they created. The Bible's book of Genesis agrees. In Genesis 6, 1-4, it says, "And it came to pass, when humans began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they chose wives, and they had children with them." What planet, galaxy, universe, or dimension did these sons of God who seeded human life on earth come from? The first and most obvious place to start looking is right here in our own solar system, starting with our closest neighbor, Venus. It's the brightest planet in the night sky, and we can see it with our own eyes for 3 hours before sunrise and 3 hours after sunset. Venus is called the morning star. The fallen angel Lucifer is also called the morning star. Is there any connection between Lucifer and the planet Venus? When ancient astronauts mapped and recorded the movements of Venus in the night sky, they discovered that every 8 years, the planet traced a nearly perfect pentagram shape around the zodiac. The pentagram has long been associated with Lucifer, who is also known as Satan. High up in the Andes Mountains, ancient hieroglyphs were discovered on the Inca Temple of the Sun in Lake Titicaca. The hieroglyphs reveal that a golden spaceship from Venus landed there in the dawn of time, bringing what the ancients called gods from outer space. The Sumerians also named the planet where the gods had come from. They called it Nibiru, which means the planet of the crossing. There is only one planet of the crossing that visibly crosses between the Earth and the Sun, and that planet is our closest neighbor, Venus.
Venus, the closest planet to our Earth in size and distance. Only recently has the red planet of Mars surpassed Venus in capturing the attention and imagination of the masses, along with the funding of agencies dedicated to space exploration. But, just as science is steering society toward concentrating on climate change, society should steer science toward further study of our sister planet, Venus. Those in the academic scientific community have disseminated the theory that Venus once had oceans and continents like Earth. It could have supported lush vegetation, perhaps even Earth-like life forms, and they believe it still would if it were not for what they describe as a runaway greenhouse effect. This runaway greenhouse effect caused the Venusian seas to boil and evaporate, creating the dense atmosphere of its modern climate. Now, this theory is somehow absent from any discussion on Earth's global warming, which doesn't make any sense. If our sister planet experienced a warming event identical to what we describe as our global warming, wouldn't that prove that warming is a natural occurrence and not necessarily caused by man? If the answer is no, then wouldn't that prove that life existed on Venus, which somehow caused this runaway greenhouse effect? Perhaps not, but these questions seem so obvious, it's at least curious as to why they haven't been asked or explained before. After all, NASA, which has endorsed the theory of man-made global warming, claims that the study of our universe is essential to understanding life here on our planet. If that's true, and as science has said, global warming is the greatest threat facing humanity, then the only logical conclusion is to focus our efforts away from the tiny, barren, moon-like body of Mars and refocus on Earth's twin and closest neighbor, which appears to have already fallen victim to its greatest threat, Venus. How could scientists, Earth's soldiers on the front line of its war with warming, have steered us not just in the wrong direction, but toward the wrong planet altogether? Well, upon hearing this, NASA scientists are quick to retort that they didn't choose Mars. They argue that the reality is that scientists do what they're told by the institutions who pay them to do it.
Scientists believe that Venus once had fertile rolling hills, majestic mountains, sparkling oceans, and lush green valleys. It may well have been home to a technologically advanced civilization with an atmosphere similar to Earth until a cataclysmic greenhouse effect boiled away the water. As children, we learned in science class that the Sun is 93 million miles away from Earth. Venus, on the other hand, swings by our planet at a distance of only 25 million miles. About 250,000 years ago, the orbital path of Venus came so close to Earth that the electromagnetic fields between Venus and Earth collided. The catastrophic collision shifted the orbital path of Venus and threw it into a reverse retrograde spin. Instead of spinning counterclockwise like Earth and other planets, Venus started spinning clockwise and rotating so slowly that a single day on Venus became, and continues to be, equal to 243 days on Earth. The cataclysm caused planet Earth to reverse its poles, and the tropical northern hemisphere where dinosaurs once roamed was transformed into an ice-covered wasteland. Like a spinning toy top that starts to slow, the Earth began to wobble. Today, scientists call this wobble the Chandler wobble.